The Man Who Tapped into the Secrets of the Universe, written by Glenn Clark. Glenn Clark, searching for a versatile genius who knew and used universal law and would be an inspiration to others, found Walter Russell, musician, illustrator, portrait painter, architectural designer, sculptor, business practice advisor to employees of international business machines, champion figure skater, natural scientist, philosopher, and author. "Can you give me the secret of your life?" asked Glenn Clark. "I believe sincerely that every man has consummate genius within him. Some appear to have it more than others only because they are aware of it more than others are, and the awareness or unawareness of it is what makes each one of them into masters or holds them down to mediocrity. I believe that mediocrity is self-inflicted and genius is self-bestowed. Every successful person I ever have known, and I have known a great many, carries within him the key which unlocks that awareness and lets in the universal power that has made him into a master." "What is that key?" queried Glenn Clark. "That key is desire, when it is released into the great eternal energy of the universe." Through Glenn Clark's world-famous biography of Walter Russell, who was known in his own time as the modern Leonardo da Vinci, the most versatile man in America, and the man who tapped the secrets of the universe, we meet the man, the artist, and the man of action. Walter Russell, in his own words, discusses the nature of developing the genius inherent within, and reveals his personal 5 laws of success. Chapter 1. We Go Seeking. All my life I have been looking for a man who has discovered the universal law which lies back of the Sermon on the Mount, and who consciously uses that law with full awareness of its meaning and full obedience to its principles. Tens of thousands preach it or write about it, yet have little understanding of its meaning. I doubt if there are many men in the whole world who actually know that cosmic basis sufficiently to live it knowingly. If I could find such a man, I thought to myself, he would be so cosmically aware of the light of God that he would know the spiritual cause of all effect. Such a one would be a super genius, for the hidden secrets of the universe would be his. He would see the universe as a whole and know his relationship to it and to God. All knowledge of cause would be his, and also the power to use it. One day, Dr. Alexis Carrel sent word he wanted to see me. "The world is facing an awful crisis," he said. "The very future of humanity is at stake. Mankind can be saved only by a group of men who are so centered in God at the source that their wisdom is a part of the all-wisdom, and therefore so conscious of the cosmos and so integrated at the center that they will be able to think clearly in many fields and not be limited to one field alone. Such a group of men, if they could find each other out and share their wisdom, might be able to chart a course that could save the world. Can you help me find such men?" In the field of religion, I had found several such men. Rufus Jones I would place at the head of the list, followed by such men as Frank Laubach and E. Stanley Jones, and perhaps a score of others. The fact that all these men are so humble that they would shrink from making such claims for themselves is added proof that they deserve this honor that I would here bestow upon them. However, Dr. Carrel was urging me to find a man outside the field of applied religion, but who had achieved success in several fields as business or engineering or the arts. "If that is what you want," I replied, "I would name Dr. George Washington Carver first of all." He accepted this suggestion with enthusiasm. I named others, but he brought me back to Dr. Carver. "Help me to contact that man," he said. "Something inside tells me that he rings true." It was with great joy that I was able to bring Dr. Carrel and Dr. Carver together. Weeks ran into weeks and years into years, and Dr. Carroll continued his search for cosmic conscious men. Finally, the Second World War started. Then Dr. Carver died, and at last one day word came from France that Dr. Carroll was dead. But his dream was not dead. I am still looking for men who are so conscious of the spiritual source of all creation that their wisdom is a part of the all wisdom. Find that man, an inner voice kept saying to me, and you will find an inspiration for all others who wish to prepare themselves for more creative living in an age like this. And then, by the goodness of God, I was led to that man. I had started a college or training school, the purpose of which was, first, to get people centered in God, second, to open avenues by which their wisdom could be seen as a part of the all-wisdom, and third, to trace the relationships underlying all sciences and arts and philosophies so that the students could think clearly in many fields and not be limited to one alone. As I traveled about the country one day, a person said to me, "There is a man who illustrates in his own life all that you have been teaching, Walter Russell. Haven't you heard of him?" No, I had not ever heard of him. Months later, another person said, "Everything you say about the need of integrating one's knowledge and knowing the source from which it comes is beautifully illustrated by a man I know, Walter Russell. Have you ever met him?" "I have heard of him," I replied, "but I have never met him." "I shall bring him to you. I shall see that he attends your talk tonight." I knew by the cut of the Van Dyke beard that I was talking to an artist. I could tell by the broad brow and the profound depth in his eyes that I was talking to a philosopher. His efficient, vital way of speaking revealed in him a man of action. There was, besides, a light in his eyes that showed that he was capable of great inspirations, that he lived close to the great unseen powers of the universe. It was not long afterwards that I found my way to his studio in Carnegie Hall. Here is where he lived and worked. The studio itself was large and positively alive with statuary and paintings that had come from his hand. There was a lifelike bust of Thomas Edison, which was the first piece of sculpture Mr. Russell had ever done. Farther on were two busts of Franklin Roosevelt, one made before and one after Pearl Harbor. The latter had just been recently unveiled in Hyde Park, and replicas of it sent to every member of the President Roosevelt's last cabinet. Most sculptors... I have never known of a sculptor who could make eyes as expressive as does Walter Russell. Most sculptors make the mistake, he said, of thinking of eyes as form, and they therefore make them as spherical surfaces. Eyes are not forms. They are transparent, and what one really sees is the light of the soul in them, and that is what I try to give them. Until a sculptor is able to see the soul with the eyes, his portrait is merely a portrait of flesh and blood. My attention was quickly absorbed by his two masterpieces, the Mark Twain Memorial, with Mark Twain seated in the center, and the character from his book standing around him, and the four freedoms which he had created at President Roosevelt's request, with the hope that it would eventually be placed at Potomac Park in Washington, where the Naval Hospital now stands. On the table lay a scrapbook containing scores of newspaper and magazine clippings describing the scientific discoveries he had made. Another scrapbook contained his clippings of the $20 million worth of buildings he had planned and built. Nearby was a beautiful hand-bound book of autographs of famous visitors to his studio.